हेलो फ्रेंड्स, अस्सलाम वालेकुम। वेलकम करता हूँ आपका हार्ड सिचुएशन यूट्यूब चैनल में, जहाँ पर हम अभी तक के लिए फाइनेंशियल क्राइसिस को डिस्कस कर चुके हैं कि फाइनेंशियल क्राइसिस एक्चुअल में होते क्या हैं, या उनकी क्या क्या रीजन बनती हैं, या उनके क्या क्या इंडिकेशंस होते हैं। उसके ऊपर बात कर चुके हैं और आज हम बात करेंगे मेन कॉजेज से रिलेटेड है। सो अगर तो आप इंटरेस्टेड हैं इस तरह के कंटेंट्स को देखने के लिए, तो चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर दीजिएगा, और ताकि आपके साथ मेरा ये रिलेशन जुड़ा रहे, जो भी वीडियो बनाओ उनके नोटिफिकेशन आपको मिल जाया करें। विदाउट अ फर्दर एडू, लेट्स जंप इनटू द वीडियो। So the global financial crisis GFC refer to the periods of extreme stress in global financial markets and banking systems between mid 2007 and early 2009. During the GFC, a downturn in the US housing market was a catalyst for a financial crisis that spread from the United States to the rest of the world. Were the linkage in the global financial system, many banks around the world incurred large losses and relied on the government supports to avoid bankruptcy. Millions of people lost their jobs as a major advanced economies experienced their deepest recession since the Great Depressions in the 1930s. Recovery from the crisis was also much slower than past recessions that were not associated with a financial crisis. Main cause of the global financial crisis. As for all financial crises, a range of factors explain the GFC and its severity, and people are still debating the relative importance of each factor. Some of the key aspect include: the number one is excessive risk taking in a favorable microeconomic environments. In the years leading up to the global financial crisis, economic conditions in the United States and other countries were favorable. Economic growth was strong and stable, and rates of inflation, unemployment, and interest were relatively low. In this environment, house prices grew strongly. Expectations that house price would continue to risk led households in the United States, especially to borrow imprudently to purchase and build house. A similar expectations on house price also led property developers and households in European countries such as Iceland, Ireland, Spain, and some countries in Eastern Europe to borrow excessively. Many of the mortgage loans, especially in the United States, were for amounts close to or even above the purchase price of a house. A large share of such risky borrowing was done by investors seeking to make short-term profits by flipping house, and by subprime borrowers who have higher default risk, mainly because their income and wealth are relatively low, and or they have missed loan repayments in the past. Banks and other lenders were willing to make increasingly large volumes of risky loans for a range of reasons. Competitions increased between individual lenders to extend over larger amounts of housing loans that, because of the good economic environments, seemed to be a very profitable at the time. Many lenders providing house loans did not closely assess borrowers' ability to make loans repayments. This also reflects the widespread presumptions that favorable conditions would continue. Additionally, lenders had little incentive to take care of their lending decisions because they did not expect to bear any losses. Instead, they sold large amount of loans to investors, usually in the forms of loan package called mortgage-backed securities, which consisted of thousands of individual mortgage loans of varying quality. Over time, MBS products became increasingly complex and opaque, but continued to be related by external agencies as if they were very safe. Investors who purchased MBS products mistakenly thought that they were buying a very low risk assets. If even if some mortgage loans in the package were not repaid, if it was assumed that most loans would continue to be repaid. These investors include large US banks as well as foreign banks from Europe and other economic that sought higher returns than could be achieved in their local markets. Increased borrowing by banks and investors. In the late up into the GFC banks and other investors in the United States and abroad borrows increasing amount to expand their lendings and purchase MBS products. Borrowing money to purchase an assets known as an increase in leverage magnifies potential profits but also magnifies potential losses. As a result, when house price began to fall, banks and investors incurred large losses because they had borrowed so much. तो उसके बाद जो नेक्स्ट है वो रेगुलेशन एंड पॉलिसी एरर्स भी हैं और स्ट्रेसेस इन द फाइनेंशियल सिस्टम भी है। सो काफ़ी चीज़ें होती हैं फाइनेंशियल क्राइसिस को नोट डाउन करने की और उनसे उनको रिकवर कैसे करना है उसके ऊपर भी। तो अगर तो आपको ये वाला टॉपिक भी पसंद आया वीडियो को लाइक कर दीजिएगा, अपने फ्रेंड्स के साथ भी ये चीज़ें शेयर कर सकते हैं। टिल देन अपना ख्याल रखिएगा। बाय बाय।